actually took us through the user interface and user experience aspect of Power Apps. So for some of us that do not know how to, so we could create apps, but in terms of the UI, it's usually an eyesore. So really here to just guide us on some of the things that we need to consider when we are building our application. So we thank Willie for coming around, and please, Willie, have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also thank you all for what you are doing to the Power Apps community. So without much ado, I'm going to just introduce the topic I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to share my screen right now. Hello.
I think it's probably fixing his network or thereabout.
Oh, okay.
Hello. So why Willie comes? Okay, I think, is he back? Okay, so while he comes back, maybe we should just be having some form of a discussion. If at all we have any questions or anything that we need to talk about while Willie fixes his internet. Okay, so I'm seeing a hand. Yinka Ade, please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, yeah. Please, I have a question. You have a group called Kaizila. So,
Yes,
and then
yes.
I know it's an interactive group where you people relate, and then for people like us that are just learning these power apps, at least to meet people like you, so that at least if you're having challenges, you can be of an assistance. Please, can you give us the Kaizila group so that we can then be in touch?
Okay, so thank you for that. So firstly is that the group belongs to all of us. It does not belong to a set of people. You
Okay.
understand? So it's
Okay.
for all of us, and the purpose is for people to share their ideas, to share their worries as far as powers is concerned. So of course, it's for everybody. So we'll share the link. We'll share the link
Hello, hello.
so
Can
that you
you
have
hear me?
access. Okay, so Yinka, I'll try and drop the link shortly. I think Willie is back. So Willie, are you
Okay.
ready, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Sorry, my browser crashed, so it was still coming up. Sorry. So I'm going to
Oh,
share my screen right now.
okay, we understand. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
All right. So today we are going to talk about Power Apps and how to, build great-looking Power Apps. But great-looking Power Apps. But today we are going to build it with a live example. So see my screen. Hello?
Yeah, we can see your profile.
Okay. All right, so my name is William. I'm going to introduce myself to those people that were not around during the last class. So my name is William. I'm a Power Platform developer with Hashem Networks in Nigeria. I started working with Power Apps last year, July, and since then I've been able to build about 10 to 15 apps. And along the line, I had to, step up my game by improving on the UI of my app so that, improving the UI of the app actually helps improve user adoption. So I had to work on the UI aspect of my Power App in order to improve user adoption. So I'm also a product designer, so that was actually one of the things that actually pushed me to learn how to design Power App. So my interests are Power Platform, Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps, CDS, Azure IoT, and SharePoint online development, and also product design. So today we are going to actually do what we talked about last week. Today we are going to actually implement everything we talked about last week by actually building something that we can actually learn to use all what we learned last week to implement. So this is what we are going to build today. So as you can see from my left, we have. Can you see this present slide I'm on? Hello.
Yes, we can
Hello.
see.
Okay. So last week we talked about all the do's and don'ts that you can do with the Power Platform, what you should do, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So this week we're actually going to implement it so that we can actually see how we implement this in real life. So we don't just dwell with the theory aspect, we also dwell with the practical aspect. So the first thing we have here is our default gallery that the Power Apps give you. And we also have something implemented today, which we are going to do live in this session. So the first thing we are going to do, we just make this following update. So
Please, I can't hear you again, sir. Please, can anyone else hear him? I can't hear him again.
Yeah, maybe
I can't
it's
hear. I
network.
think something.
Maybe it's network. Let's just hold on a bit for him.
His network is bad, kind of.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry, my network is actually timing off.
Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is set the background to color, just so that it's going to give the gallery a depth. So the next thing we are going to do is just change the default label to more custom and to add the user image to the app. We're going to filter the galleries to show just the personalized item for that particular user. So you don't have to see any SS request that doesn't belong to you. So the next thing we are going to do is we're going to filter our gallery based on the status. So I've already added things on the header here, so we can filter it based on if the request is pending, if the request is approved, if the request is rejected, and all the requests. The next thing we are going to do is we're going to add the galleries. So these white galleries, we are going to change the default look. We're going to add it using the button controls. The next thing we are going to do is adjust the layout and the text. And the next thing we're going to do is move the plus icon that is usually here, that is for adding new form, and just create a fancy looking button right at the bottom here. The next thing we're going to do is add the button control by the left to show the status of the user. So at the end of the day, we should actually be able to build something like this. Can you all see my demo screen? Hello?
Yeah, we are seeing your PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint we're seeing.
Okay,
Yeah,
can you see my
it's
Power App now? Can you see my Power App now?
Not yet.
Okay. Can you see the Power App now? Hello?
No,
We can't
from me.
see it. We can't see.
Okay. All right, so can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes, we can see it now.
Okay, so this is my Power App that I created as a demo app. So we are going to actually go ahead to implement this from scratch. So just want to go ahead and show you all how the finished product of the Power App look like. So this is actually what I meant when we say we are going to filter the galleries by the status. So the app is actually a leave request system. So the leave request system is actually going to take in all this information from a SharePoint list. So I'm going to actually use my SharePoint list as a data source to do all these manipulations on the Power App. So it's actually a leave request system that can be set to different type of status. So the leave request can be pending, the leave request can be approved, or it can be rejected. So I just actually created a demo app to just show you what we are actually going to implement. So if I filter it, I added a custom label by the left, so you get to know that what you are featuring is actually right. So if you actually get the yellow label, the label to be yellow is actually pending. If you get it to be green, is actually approved. If you get it to red, is actually rejected. So you can also filter based on all the items here. So this is actually where all my items are. So this is my SharePoint list that all the items are actually coming from. So I actually created a demo SharePoint list for this project. So this is my status based on spending, based on approved, and based on rejected. So we're going to go ahead and create go ahead and create an app from this SharePoint list. Sorry, are you all following? Is there any questions?
Yes, we are following.
Okay, there's no question. Do you have any questions that I can answer before we start building the application?
No question for now.
Okay. So we're just going to create a leave request application. So, okay, let me just go ahead and introduce you all to the SharePoint leave. So this is just different columns of SharePoint that I created. So I just created a demo leave. So this is actually a title field. So if you're familiar with SharePoint, you know that if you create a new SharePoint list, you actually get the title field as a column field that comes with any newly created SharePoint list. So I actually changed the name to first name in order to pick the name of the person that is making the request. So the another column is the type of leave, which is also a choice column. So we can have study leave, exam leave, or maternity leave. So the next thing we have is date of the leave. So you can actually select the date you're starting the leave, and your manager, the status. So this is actually what we are going to be using today on our Power App. So this pending means that your request just got submitted and is pending. The approved means that probably your manager has approved it, and the rejected means that they rejected your application. So the created by us means that this was the user that actually created the application, and this is what we are going to use to filter our gallery today. So let's create our app.
A question, please.
All right. So what's the question? Hello?
I moved my mic. Sorry, I saw two different names. One is first name, which stands for the person, the requester, if I get it right, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the other one is created by. Does that created by means the admin that created the app,
No.
or
So
what? Or the
um. So you know, actually, the title field of the SharePoint is actually used to create a detail in the item. So you can actually set the default property of the title field in the Power App in the SharePoint list, sorry, to be a user's name, so that the user doesn't start filling information that is already captured in the Office 365. The created name created by sorry is actually the name of the person that created the request on the SharePoint list. So that created by is actually generated for you by the SharePoint list. You don't have to do anything to get it. So when you're creating an item on SharePoint list, it actually gets your the created on, the created by. So those two are like auto-generated by your SharePoint list. So this information is actually generated for you by Microsoft. You don't have to do anything to generate it. While the title feed is actually you that's going to actually feed in information to it. So you can actually just set it on your Power Apps as your username, or you can actually just fill it in there manually. So did I answer your question?
yes, but the confusion there is that
Okay.
when you say created by, that
Yeah.
created by, is it
Yes.
actually saying that this was the person that built the app? Because I understand the first one, which means the
No,
requester.
no, 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 no. The created by is actually you that is creating the request. So that is the SharePoint list. So the SharePoint list is actually collecting information from
Okay,
different users,
okay,
irrespective of the app you are
okay,
using. But, so
okay,
if I create an
okay,
item now, it's going to be my name. If you create an item, it's going to be on your
okay,
name. So it's auto
okay,
generated. You understand? All right.
okay, okay.
All right.
Hello,
All
Thank
right.
you.
sorry, I think that we should just maybe we should
Hello.
just go ahead. Then we'll have a time for question and answers so that we're able to, make effective use of this time, please. Is that
All
fine?
right. All right.
Okay,
Yes.
please let's do that.
So we are going to just start editing this app right away. So the first thing you are going to do is you just need to start deleting what is on this. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes deleting everything that is on this app. So ideally, when I want to build my app, I actually just start from a blank canvas. So I just fill in all the controls manually. I don't usually create from SharePoint list, but for the purpose of our time and this demo, we're just going to start by creating an app from SharePoint list. Let's go ahead and so we have a couple of errors right now. So the first thing we are going to do is actually try and get a layout for our design. So like what I showed you guys, I'm going to actually using a button from PowerApp. So this is already a gallery, but it actually came with the app. So I'm going to just try and see how to design this with a custom control. So I'm going to actually add a button to this right now. All right, so I'm going to add the button. First, let me just get my data from my SharePoint list. Right, so
Mr. Willie.
can I tell? Yes. Hello?
Yeah, please, can you talk along while doing this so that we can get you clearly, please?
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this is actually my app that actually got designed for me by the Power app. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to just start by designing the interface I showed you on my slide. So we have the button. So I'm going to use a button to actually, design the galleries. So I'm going to first just create a big button. Yeah. So when you start by creating a button, you just delete the info that is in the button. So we are going to use this button now as the placeholder for our app. So then the next thing we are going to do is I want to change the color of the background, my Power app.
Why? The trick is for your friend. My friend?
So I'm going to just put this background fill. So this background fill actually it's like a shade of white, but it's a bit darker than white. So it actually gives my background a bit of depth. So I'm going to change the button color to to white. So another thing I'm going to do now is arrange it. So when I arrange my button, I want to send it to the back so that all the details in my gallery is actually showing. All right, so you can now see the button. So it's placed on the gallery. So sorry, before I continue, is everyone following? You want to leave anyone behind?
Yes,
Do you
we're
understand up
following.
to this point? You understand up
We
to
are
this
good.
up to this? Okay. So I'm going to just try and do what we actually talked about in our PowerPoint slide. So I'm just going to start by moving all these shapes around. So just reduce this size a bit. All right, so I'm going to also try and reduce this button. I'll give it a feel of black. So just give it black so that it's going to match with the color of the text. So I'm going to also go ahead and normally when the default buttons come with PowerApp, it actually has an over color which is blue. So what I want to do now, I want to just delete the over color. So when you click on a button or on your gallery, it doesn't have any color, so you don't have to worry about the color on the gallery over it. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove the border from the button. Let's give it a no fill. So the border is 0. And I'm going to remove this default separators that come with app. So just adjust this button a bit. Okay. Then I'm going to bring down my canvas up, my gallery, sorry, a bit. So just go ahead and start deleting what we don't really need on the app. So normally, I start with the plain canvas. So I only need to start deleting all these things. So it's best if you know how to start with the plain canvas so that you can actually build in the controls you want by yourself without having to go ahead and delete what Microsoft has already generated for you. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the font type to Lato. Which I like using Lato. Lato is actually like my favorite font on this app. We actually have very limited fonts on our app, so Lato is actually the one I love to use. So last week I talked about how to use a uniform font for a Power App. So I'm just going to actually use it here. So I'm going to create. So let's say you have Lato here. So when you're creating a label for your app, you don't actually need to use a different font. Like right now, the font here is Open Sans. So you need to actually make sure your fonts are consistent across your app. So I'm going to use Lato, but a different texture of Lato. Let's make it like size 30. Place it at the top here, like we saw on the demo app. So I'm also going to create an image. So this is what we are going to use to fetch the user's image from our Power App. So the best way to create image for Power App is actually when you start your app, you set your image variable, the app, so you can actually reuse it throughout your app. But the purpose of this demo, I'm just actually going to do this from scratch. So I'm going to set my border radius to give us I'm going to set my border radius to give us a border radius. So we have a nice border radius here. So I'm going to just show the display image to be the user email of user using the app. So you can now see how this part was built on our demo app. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is let's add a calendar icon to our date. So this is actually like the date field on our SharePoint list. So we're actually going to add like a date icon. So it just gives the user some kind of assurance that what you're actually viewing is actually a date. So we have a calendar. So I'm just going to expand the app a bit so I can actually fit my calendar into the space I kept for my app. Okay, so I just give it black field, so it's going to actually match with the app I created. So once we play app, now we see like okay, we haven't finished reading the app, but we actually like have a different look and feel. You can see how the depth that this background color is actually giving the items on the gallery. So this way it actually captures the user's attention. So when you're building apps, you actually know that okay, once the user uses it, does he want to actually come back to use it again, or does he want to say, oh, this app again, I don't want to use it? Or you actually need to capture the user attention by actually knowing how to play with colors. So this is actually, you can see from the examples I've been making that this is actually what you can actually build with Power Apps. So the next thing we are going to do is add a little bit of animation on the gallery. So let's go ahead and reduce this. So this is actually a default animation. So it's actually on the transition property. So if you highlight your gallery and come down to the bottom, you are going to get to see the transition property. So you can actually set it to pop or push. So I'm just going to make it push so we can actually see the effect here. So you highlight it, is going to actually like push in and push out. So this is actually what you get. So far we have been able to create the gallery, create the items within the gallery, and also do some edits to the gallery. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is the sorting of the gallery using buttons, and also sort the gallery using the status field. So we're going to go ahead and add a button to this gallery. The button is actually going to be act as a label. So what the label is used for is if you have multiple items on the gallery and one is pending, one is approved, one is rejected. So you actually, the color, like the label by the side, actually tells you what this particular item, the status of the item, if it has been approved or if it has been rejected, or if the item is still pending. So I'm just going to add a little label by the left using the button control to actually show the user that this item you have is still pending, or this item is approved, or this item is rejected. So I'm just going to add a button to the gallery. So these actually buttons are repeated, so I'm just going to go ahead and move the hover color from the button. Just move the hover color. So you want to use the button as a label. So I'm going to actually put in a formula here. So I'm going to explain the formula for everyone. So I'm going to put this formula now on the field property. So I want to tell the button that, or the component I'm using here, is that if the item is pending, it should show this color. If it is approved, it should show this color, and if it's rejected, it should show this color. So I'm just going to use 3 distinct colors to actually differentiate the progress of the item on our application. So for now, you can see what I was talking about. So this item actually on our SharePoint list is pending, or on our application is pending. This item has been approved and this item has been rejected. So I'm using 3 different colors to distinguish them. The first one is yellow, which everyone knows yellow is actually like a sign for hold on or pending. The next one is approved. Everyone knows green is actually the sign for approve or go on. Then the next one is rejected, which is actually this symbol for bad or stop. So we're going to just change the color of this. I'm going to change the color of this yellow because yellow sometimes doesn't really so you just need to actually look for something that looks like yellow but a bit distinct from yellow. So I'm going to just use this color.
Please, your screen is not moving again, please.
Hello? It's not moving again. Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Is my screen not moving? Hello?
Yes, it is.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
So I want to go ahead and change the color to. Can you see my screen now? Sorry, I want to get attention. Can you see my screen? Hello?
We can see it,
Yeah,
but
we
it's
can
not
see your
moving.
screen. You can continue. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah.
So just need to change the color of our ending.
Okay, it's fine now.
Okay, it's good now.
Okay. Sorry, I need a minute. I need to check my modem where it's kept. It's actually causing the internet disruption. Just give me a minute. I want to like change the position.
Hello?
Sorry, my network is really terrible. I'm trying to fix it.
It's all right. It's all right.
Pending item. So I think this network is actually making it slow to load. So next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is actually see how we can filter this gallery with 12 buttons. So I know one of the problems I was always facing when I started building PowerApps was how do I filter my items to be status specific? So when I mean status specific, I mean if I have an item that is pending, how do I make it pending? If I have an item that is approved, how do I make it approved? If I have an item that is rejected, how do I make it show? So one of the things I didn't know how to do at first was how to filter it. So along the line, I actually figured it out, and probably hope someone here is going to also learn that today. So I just get to let me just remove the borders. They are going to look slimmer. So I'm going to reduce the width to 9. So we can now see. So if the item is pending, it's going to show you yellow. If it's approved, it's going to show you red. If it's rejected, it's going to show you. Sorry, if it's approved, it's going to show you green. And if rejected, it's going to show you red. So that way, you actually get a nice presentation of your status on your items. But you can also add some animation, so it actually gives you like a look or feel of a native application that you're actually using. I'm just going to go ahead and just try and adjust this a bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add buttons right now. So these buttons are what I'm going to use to filter our application. So the first one is all, like what we saw. So this is actually the finished product. So this is what I actually want to build now. So if I filter all, it gives me all. If I filter pending, it gives me pending. If I filter approve, it gives me approve. So this is actually what we want to implement now. So we're going to first start by creating 4 buttons that we can actually use to filter. So you can actually just change the overfill of this button. So I was actually creating this app for demo purpose, so I didn't have the time to change the overfill. So when you're creating your app, always endeavor to create your overfill. So let's say you have red now. So when your user over it, you have a red overfill and probably a white font. So it actually like gives the user a beautiful user experience. So I'm going to actually go ahead and create 4 buttons now to do that ability for me here. So I'm going to create 1 button now. I'm going to change the font size to Lato. I'm going to change it to 15. Change a bit small, so I'm just going to wide and make it 18. So the border radius, I'm going to make it 50. So I'm going to go ahead and create 3 more buttons like this. So this is all is to be for pending. So just increase the length a bit so it can actually fit into the button. So let me just shape this to be smaller than this. I want to fit in the 4 different status on my item. So I need to make the button a bit smaller than showing actually. Hold on. So we want to actually just give this a black feel. So black like general color for everything because it's actually going to represent all the items on our SharePoint list. So I'm going to quickly just change the border to black and also change the font to be transparent. It actually fix the background of our app and make the text of it black. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same for this. So I'm going to change color. I'm going to select this color, yellow. There's actually a bit of yellow and orange, but yellow doesn't really mix well with white background. So I'm going to actually use the color for my app. Next thing I'm going to do is for the approved, so just make it a little bit of green. And do the same for the approved button. Okay, so right now we have all our buttons for featuring your app ready. I'm just going to just carry all this up a bit, so it's going to align with our application, and also do the same for the gallery. Okay, so I have a nice looking gallery to actually use for our application. So the next thing we're going to do is, so if we click on any of these buttons, it's actually going to filter it based on the status of the item on the SharePoint list. I'm going to add a formula to the gallery, which I'm going to explain as I add it. All right, so I've added the formula now, so I'm going to explain. So you can see that there's no item actually displaying on my SharePoint list. So the next thing I'm going to do now is explain what this formula actually does. So what this formula does is, the first thing I want to do is I want to sort my column by ascending order. So let's say I have an item and the title of the item starts with an A, or I have another item and it starts with a B. So what I want to do now is I want to sort it in a way that if I have the items in the gallery, it's going to display A, B, C, D. So it's going to actually be good for the user experience. So the user doesn't have to start looking for each items randomly. So he actually gets to know that, okay, my item is actually displaying in an ascending order. The next thing I'm going to just do is filter the gallery by my gallery. So the gallery is filtered from the SharePoint list leave request system that we created earlier on. I just want to sort by columns in ascending order, filter my gallery, filter it based on the user that created this item. So the item was created by William. So like the guy was asking me about created by. So I want to just, right now what I use the created by to do is I want to filter the SharePoint list based on who created this item. So when you come to your app, what you only see in your gallery is what I created. So you don't get to see what William created, or you don't get to see what Emeka created. So The only thing you get to see is what you created. So this actually helps also in user experience. So I want to also check if my gallery, if the variable I set on my gallery, because this is actually a variable var. So from the Excel sheet, actually explained that I was going to set a variable on my gallery. So the variable is actually what I'm going to use to set each status on my SharePoint list to be. So this is actually the variable. I'm just saying that if it is blank, if the no variable has been selected, so my gallery should just return true. So my gallery should just be showing. So if nothing has been pressed, let my gallery be showing. Then the status I'm actually calling. So the variable is actually calling the status value field on the SharePoint list. So this is actually the title field is actually the field I'm actually sorting by ascending order. So you can see sort by ascending. So you can see we have an error. So we have an error right now because this variable hasn't been called yet. So right now the application doesn't really know what the variable is. So I'm just going to go ahead and on this button, I'm going to set my variable. I'm going to use the set formula on SharePoint. So set actually means set variable. I'm going to call my variable now. So set variable to be everything. So you can see now that I've called my variable right now. So it actually just sets the variable to actually display anything that it actually sees on the SharePoint. So this is actually like an empty array. So it's actually just setting the variable to set it to anything that we have on the variable. It shouldn't be pending, it shouldn't be approved, it shouldn't be rejected. It just be everything that we have on our SharePoint list. So right now we're going to actually feed values to our variables. So I'm going to say set my variable to be pending. So you need to be careful about this. So what you should make sure that this pending actually signifies the name of this field on my SharePoint list, pending. So when you're setting the variable on your application, you should make sure that this name on the status field is actually the same name with what you are using to filter your gallery. That way, the application is going to be smart enough to recognize that, oh, this is what you're trying to do, but the name is not the same. It's going to be difficult for you to actually display this on your Power App. So you should make sure that it's always the same and you actually set it in a string. So when you set it in a string, you actually recognize that, okay, this is an exact value from what is on my SharePoint list. So I should actually display this on my app. So you just set the value to be pending. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put the formula on the rest of the application. And set this to be approved.
Hello, sorry, Willie. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
I'm thinking because of time, are we able to continue next week, or what do you suggest?
No, we're almost done. Just like 2 more things left.
Okay, because the reason why I'm asking is that so that we have enough time for people to ask questions, you know, and perhaps.
Is anyone in a hurry to go?
No, because you know it's supposed to be 7, and I don't want people to. I feel that people
What's
that
left
plan.
is actually what's left is actually
Okay, please
very
go ahead.
interesting and
Okay, please
it's
go
not going
ahead.
to take
Okay, please go ahead.
more than 10 minutes.
All
All right.
right. All right.
So I just want to put this on the unselect of this button. So I just want to make it approved. And the next one is going to be on the unselect. and make it rejected. All right, so I think that's that. The next thing we're going to test if is working. So we just let's filter it based on pending. Okay, I think it's working. It's pending, rejected. So you can now see that what we did is actually working. So we actually are able to filter our application based on the status of the application. So the last thing we are going to do now is add the buttons on our app. So simple, just create create button, remove the text of the button. So give the border radius, just make it, I want to make it round like a cycle. So just increase the size of the button. So you can give it any color you want. And now we're going to go with purple. And next thing, you just add the little plus icon here to signify add. So this button is actually going to take us to our phone screen already on the app. Okay. So you can just add a simple formula here and select navigate. Probably something. Okay. So I think it's working. So so right now I've been able to do all what we actually saw on this PowerPoint slide. We have been able to filter our application based on the status of the request, if it's pending, if it's approved, if it's rejected. We have been able to filter our gallery and also add label to our gallery and also create this button here. So actually we're able to capture everything that we discussed on the PowerPoint. So I hope that for today everyone has actually learned how to, just change the default look of Power App Canvas application that you have, and also just give it application that has user interface, great user interface that actually be compelling to the user, because user interface is actually very important. If you want to make multiple users adopt your app and use it daily, you need to give it a user interface that is very user friendly. So I think from what we have discussed and implemented, some of us should be able to actually adopt all these and actually create beautiful parts. So that should be the end of this session. So thank you everyone for listening. Do I have any questions? Hello?
Hello, Willie. Thank you for this session. So I just have one question. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Okay, so that indicator, and you had some indicators there to the left of the.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sorry because I was out of the meeting for a bit. So I want to know. I know you added a button. Initially, you were looking for a rectangle, then I saw a button, and I was wondering. Okay, so that button, does it do anything per se apart from indicating the kind of the status of the leaf? Is there a reason why you're using a button instead of maybe like a rectangle, for instance?
No, there's actually no reason why I actually used a button over a rectangle, sorry. So the reason why I used a button was because the item that I have on my SharePoint list, the button I used originally to create them actually has like a round border. So I wanted it to like fit in. So you can't create a round border with a rectangle in PowerApps. So the reason why I used the button was because I wanted to create a round border. The button. That's why. So you can actually use anyone you want.
Okay, all right, thanks. That's clear.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please, I have a question.
All right.
Yeah, concerning the button. Please, can we just go back to the formula so that you can explain better? Because I know that for an if statement, you have the expression and the true and false. But I could see that you combine so many if and if statements. So please, can you just explain better to us?
All right. So let me elongate the formula. So it actually has this background color. So then the next one is, so this is actually the true value. So if this is this, it should be, so there's no false value because I'm going to actually set the false value at the end of the, so it's like a combination of multiple if statements. So the next one is if this item is approved, the next color should be green. And the next if statement is if it is rejected, what the item is pending, it should return yellow. If it's approved, it should return green. If it's rejected, it should return red. Else, the item should return black. So that's just what I'm trying to say on this application. So like the else statement actually means okay, it's okay. So sorry, it's actually showing now. So the else statement actually say okay, since there's no color value, now if I create a leave request, an item, and the status field is actually empty, I'm going to get black, which is actually the else statement. So if it's pending, make it yellow. If it's approved, make it green. If it's rejected, make it red. Else, make it black. So you can see now that there's no color for this. So this actually is actually a pending, but I actually remove the color. So you can see that this is actually going to satisfy the else statement, which is actually make it black. So this, I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, hello.
Are you clear now?
Yes, I'm clear now. But I also have a question. Sorry.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
You asked me the question. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear. But I have another one concerning the where you filter your gallery.
Yeah. Who asked me the question? Okay, yeah, clear. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Go
So I
ahead.
just you also use a
Yeah, I think you
formula
should go
to
ahead
filter
if you
your.
have any question.
Okay, from you filter your gallery
Okay.
based on
Okay.
the
Yeah.
parameter for.
So what's the issue there?
Yeah, it's just that we just need some explanation. I know you create a variable for each of the buttons for pending, approve, and then, but I just want to see the formula again so that I can ask a question.
Okay, no problem. Share it now.
Okay, so I think time is fast spent. We'll be willing to bring Willie back. I think he's done a very good job for us, and we so much appreciate this. In fact, I'm sure that henceforth our apps will be looking, more appealing. And you've taken us through so many things, and I personally will have to go back to YouTube to watch this. So to everyone, I'll try as much as possible to put this up early as soon as possible so that we'll be able to reference it. Thank you so much, Willie. We thank you so much. We are hoping that when you also come back to also take us through some of these UI UX related things sooner. Am I right?
Excuse me, sorry, come again.
I said that we hope that you'll be willing to come and talk to us in the latest future as far as this is concerned. UI UX.
No problem.
Right.
I'm always ready.
All right, we appreciate you. We appreciate everyone for coming through also. So we hope to see you next week. And like I said, once this is uploaded, we'll share the URL with everyone.
Okay, so does anyone need the slide?
Okay.
PowerPoint slide.
You can give me the slide. I will add it to the upload as a reference file.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hello, moderator. Concerning the Kaizila group, you said you share it with us.
I'll try. Please.